Ah, Camp Holloway, a name written in neat military files, marked on a map as a mere dot in the mountains. For the officers, it's a posting. For the fresh recruits, it's a test of endurance. But for me, it is a hunting ground, a place where uniforms unravel and minds collapse. They built it high in the ranges, too high, where the air grows thin, where the cold crawls into the bones, where even silence sounds alive. Stone barracks cling to the cliffs like tumors, always sweating with damp. Pipes clank at night, like faint drums of a war no one remembers. That was where Lieutenant Daniel Carter arrived. A boy in a man's costume, fresh medals from training still shining on his chest, shoulders too straight, chin too high, boots polished until they gleamed. He thought the mountains would break him in with snow patrols, icy winds, maybe even the lurking fear of an ambush. But Daniel had no idea. His battle would not be against enemies outside the walls. It would be against what lived behind a door. His assigned quarters were at the end of a sagging corridor. The bulb above his door hummed, flickering every few seconds, its glow weak and sickly. The paint on the walls had bubbled from moisture, peeling in jagged strips like old scabs. And there were two doors. One was his, the other, right beside it, was sealed. The wood was swollen, black with age, veins of damp spreading through it like arteries. A thick padlock clung to the latch, not new, not recently placed, but so rusted it looked fused to the wood itself, like bone to marrow. And around the lock, couched deep in the woods, were scratches, long, violent, uneven. The kind fingernails might leave when torn from the hand. Daniel noticed immediately. But when he asked in passing at the mess hall, the older officers shivered uncomfortably. One laughed too quickly.
Storage.
He said,
All junk. Forget it.
yet their spoons cling too hard against their plates, their eyes fixed anywhere but his. Daniel was no fool. He noticed what they didn't want him to see, and I noticed him. The mountains breed a silence that presses on the chest, not the comforting silence of an empty house, but the thick, breathing silence of something awake in the dark. On Daniel's first night, lying stiff on the cot, he heard it. Knock, knock, knock. 3 deliberate reps from the sealed door. He sat upright, sweat prickling his neck despite the cold. Listened, waited. The silence returned. Perhaps it was pipes Perhaps wind. He tried to sleep again, but his eyes kept drifting towards the corridor. The next night, it came again. 3 knocks, always 3. And this time, he thought he heard something more. A whisper, so faint it might have been the wind, except the wind does not shape itself into words. By the fourth night, Daniel avoided the corridor in the evenings. He lingered longer in the mess hall, stayed with the other men until lights out. But eventually, he had to return to his room. And the corridor breathed. The bulb above his door flickered as if reacting to a pulse. The walls swelled faintly, as though air moved inside them, and the padlock twisted. He saw it one evening, not swaying like metal on a hook, not shifting with the breeze, but twitching, like the flex of a living muscle. He reached toward it, hand trembling. For a moment, his fingers brushed the cold iron, except it wasn't cold. It was warm and wet. He snatched his hand back, heart hammering, staring at the sheen left on his palm. It was thick, slick. The smell hit him then. Coppery, sour, familiar. Not water, not damp. Something else. I laughed in his skull, low and soft. He almost cried out, but no sound left his throat. The others would not tell him. They never do. So I will. That room was not storage. It was a cell. Camp Holloway had long served another purpose. When soldiers broke on patrol, when the isolation twisted them, when the mountains whispered to them, when their minds cracked like ice, they were locked inside that room. Some scratched at their arms until only raw ribbons of flesh clung to bone. Some laughed for days without stopping, teeth shattering from the strain. One man pressed his forehead to the wall until it split his skull, whispering, "The code is not outside, it's in the walls." When he died, they sealed the door, padlocked it, painted over the shame. But you cannot seal me away. I remain, I wait. The 11th night brought a storm. Lightning split the sky into jagged bones. Rain hammered the roof. The barracks groaned. Then the power failed, plunging the corridors into pitch darkness. Daniel lit a candle. Its small flame trembled wildly, throwing monstrous shadows across the damp walls. His breath fogged in the air, though the room was not cold. And then he heard it. Not knocks this time, sobbing. At first, one voice, low, ragged, broken. Then another joined it, and another, until the entire corridor shook with a chorus of grief. Dozens of men crying, whispering, whimpering. Their voices rose and fell like the tide of madness, and through it all, they spoke his name. Daniel, Daniel. He staggered closer, candle clutched tight, until his ear pressed against the locked door. The sobbing stopped, and I whispered.
Open.
The padlock rattled violently, clanging like teeth in a dying jaw. The wood bulged outward as though something inside pressed its skull against it, straining, demanding release. Hot air hissed from the cracks, damp and rancid. It smelled of sweat, rust, and something older, the stink of rotting lungs. The candle went out. Darkness swallowed him whole. And then I opened the door inside his mind. He saw me, a figure too tall for the corridor, a patchwork of faces, some were sewn shut with black wire, skin pulled taut until split. Some screamed endlessly, their jaws split so wide, their cheeks tore open, their eyes bulged, rolling with madness. They were not strangers. He recognized some of them. Photographs he had seen on the barracks wall. Men who had died in service. Their skin hung from me like a grotesque uniform. Their medals dangled from tendons. Their boots were filled with bone fragments. And in the center of my chest, stitched crudely into my flesh, was his own face. Eyes streaming black tears, lips sewn tight, skin pale and lifeless. I bent low, so close he could smell the rust and rot of my breath, and I smiled with his teeth. He screamed until his throat shredded raw. When they found him at dawn, he was curled on the floor of the corridor, shaking violently. His candle lay melted in a pool beside him. His uniform was soaked through with sweat. His lips cracked, his eyes bloodshot. He could not hold his rifle. His hands trembled as if permanently broken. In the mess hall, he muttered to anyone who would listen.
The door breathes. It wears our uniforms. It knows my name.
The officers laughed, but their laughter was brittle. Their spoons clinked too hard. Their eyes flicked nervously toward the corridor. They knew. Oh, they all knew. Within a week, the paperwork was signed. Unfit for high altitude duty, Daniel Carter was transferred quietly, loaded into a truck bound for the plains. He thought he was safe. He thought he had escaped. That is why I laugh at you humans. You dress yourselves in valor. You believe your strength lies in bullets and flags. You send your sons to fight wars with enemies you can see. Daniel Carter left Camp Holloway, but at night, in his new posting, as he lies awake, he still hears it. Knock, knock, knock. 3 knocks. Always 3.